now, my name is Stacey Flowers, and I make a living through my talent of talking. I run my personal growth and development company part-time, and this month my net income was $6,000. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how you can grow your confidence as an entrepreneur. So if you are interested in that, please keep watching. To everyone who responded to my request to give me ideas for topics that you would be interested in for this entrepreneurship series. Without a doubt, the number one question or the number one comment that kept coming up is, how do you have the confidence to be an entrepreneur? How do you know which business to start? How do you know when to start a business? How do you know when you're ready? And a lot of that, in my opinion, boils down to confidence. And so I wanted to give you guys 3 very practical ways to develop your confidence as an entrepreneur. Whether you are somebody who has a hobby and you want to turn it into a business, you're somebody who's always felt like you had a heart for creating a business, or you're someone who's been dabbling inside of business and entrepreneurship for a while and you haven't been able to escape the feast to famine financial cycle that typically happens to most entrepreneurs, I definitely think that this video is for you. I do want to put a disclaimer out there. Entrepreneurship is pretty hot right now. Like, everybody thinks they're a boss and like everybody is like, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur. And I am not someone who believes that entrepreneurship is for everyone. I believe that there are some people who have a temperament for risk. And if you have a temperament for risk, entrepreneurship is likely for you. If you don't have a temperament for risk, entrepreneurship is not likely for you. And that may be something that we discuss in another video. But I do just want to put this out there. Like, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. I do not think that that is the only valid way to make your contribution to the world. And at the end of the day, the type of company that I want to have, I intend to employ lots of people. And I would hate for the people that I'm going to employ one day to have on the inside that, like, while they're working for my company and helping me to build different things, that on the inside that my company was slowly but surely killing them and their hopes and dreams, and they're just waiting for the day to escape. And that's a lot of the language around people wanting to leave their 9-to-5 so that they could go into entrepreneurship. It's like, I want to escape, this corporate big place that's helping me to pay my mortgage and all my bills. It's like, I'm a fan of corporations. So I say that to say, while this is advice for entrepreneurs, I don't think everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur. So I'm totally okay if this isn't content that supports you where you're at in your life right now, or where you're at in terms of the way that you want to contribute professionally to society. So that's just my disclaimer. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone, but if it is for you, let me tell you 3 ways that you can grow your confidence. So the number one way to grow your confidence as an entrepreneur is through competence. Anybody who's attempted to start a business, anybody who's attempted to take their hobby and turn it into a business, the reason that they are failing, or the reason that they are feeling insecure about it, or they have a lot of self-doubt, is because they are not competent about what they are selling. Competence breeds confidence. When you know what you're talking about, when you know what you're doing, so for example, if you have a product or service and you know what your product or service stands for, what it does, what it's made of, you know all of the information about how your product and service solves your customer's problem, that's competence, right? And most people who want to be entrepreneurs are not competent enough about what they're selling to even get to the point where they have confidence about their product or service, right? And so the first thing that you have to do is become competent about what you're selling. And this gets a little tricky for entrepreneurship, especially right now since it's so hot, is because what many people think entrepreneurship is not actually what it is. A lot of these like fun pictures of like, oh, we popping bottles. I don't know why I said that. But all these like fun pictures of like people just really looking like they're having fun all the time. It's just like, that may be the marketing of entrepreneurship, but that's not the total spectrum of entrepreneurship. And so oftentimes people confuse becoming competent about what they're selling with just talking about what they're selling all the time. So let me give you an example. I train aspiring female speakers to become highly paid female speakers. Specifically, I want to help female speakers learn how to replace their current full-time income, because most of the people that I work with believe that they're called to be a speaker and they want to transition into doing speaking work full-time. So typically when I'm working with an aspiring speaker, she will come in and she will be like, I have this message and I want to get it out to the world, and I know that this is what I need to talk about. And she has like all her ducks in a row. She knows her topic, she knows her niche, she's delivered a couple of speeches, and I will ask her what it is that she thinks that she's selling. And without a doubt, every speaker will tell me, oh, my message, I'm selling my message, like you sell happiness. So, I sell empowerment, I sell this. And I always have to let them know that is not what you sell, because your meeting planner, which is the person you're selling to, your meeting planner isn't looking for empowerment. They're not looking for that. What your meeting planner is looking for is a keynote. Your meeting planner may look for a breakout. Your meeting planner may be looking for a workshop. Your meeting planner may be looking for a panelist. So what you sell is keynotes, breakouts, panels, or workshops. That's what you sell, right? You think you're selling your message, but really you are selling these 4 to 5 solutions. These are the only things as a speaker you can sell. You can sell keynotes, you can sell breakouts, you can sell panels, you can sell workshops, and you can also sell, like, there's other language in there, but the point is that most speakers who enter in the game, they think they're selling their message. And because they think they're selling their message, they burn out trying to get paid for their message, when you don't have to burn out. All you have to do is develop your competence about what it is that you're actually selling. That means develop your competence about what it means to deliver a knockout keynote. Develop your competence about what it means to deliver an amazing breakout. Develop your competence about what it means to deliver a workshop setting. And then when you pitch that service to a meeting planner, you can say, boom, this is the service that I'm pitching to you. And then you're not denied, and you don't become burnt out. Because I think, especially with speakers, like the challenge with speakers is that we have this drive and this passion and this fire and this message inside of us that we know the people who need to hear it, and we just want them to be able to hear it. And that heat on the back end is like pushing you to be weirdy McWeird pants in your sales process when you're trying to get a meeting planner to agree to let you come in and speak. And that heat it's weird in your sales process, and it knocks you down. And then when they say no, that's a ding off of your confidence, right? And then that makes you think that, oh, maybe I shouldn't be a speaker, or maybe my message isn't valuable, or maybe, and then you start to think all of these things about your ability to be able to be in this business. And the fact of the matter is that you just aren't competent about what you're selling. And I'll give another example, for bloggers. And some of the business side, more bloggers have been coming to me for coaching, and so many bloggers think that the service or the product that they're selling is their writing, right? A lot of people who become bloggers, they become bloggers because they love to write. And so they think what they're selling is their writing. Let me tell you, that is not what you're selling as a blogger. As a blogger, you are selling one of two things. You are either selling attention or you are selling influence. That is what you are selling as a blogger. Now, and this is only if you don't create your own products or service. Obviously, like if you're a blogger who also has your own products and service, then you're clearly selling that. But typically when people enter into the blogging world, they don't enter into it with a product already. A product eventually comes because they are doing really good selling influence and they are doing really good selling attention. So eventually they create a product. But when you're a blogger, when you enter into it thinking that I'm going to sell my writing to people, I'm going to get paid because my writing is the best writing, you burn out because nobody wants to buy your writing. I know that sounds horrible, but nobody wants to buy your writing. Brands want to buy your attention that you can hold, right? Brands want to buy your influence. People who read your blog, they may want to buy your attention, but they don't want to buy your writing. And until you can wrap your mind around what you're actually selling, you won't have competence about your products or service. And when you don't have competence about your product or service, you won't have confidence in your role as an entrepreneur. So that is the first thing that you have to develop, is competence about what it is that you are actually selling. The second thing that you need after you figure out your competence and what it is that you are actually selling is that you need to have clarity on who you're selling to. And most entrepreneurs lack confidence in their business because they have no idea who they're selling to. So other language that you'll hear here is target market. Like, you have to know your target market. You have to know who it is that you are selling to. And I think that this is one of those things that a lot of entrepreneurship, in my opinion, is soul work. It's like heart work. And I said this before, it's like you're taking a little piece of your heart and you're like, do you like it? Can you buy it? Like, and it doesn't matter what business you're in. Like, you're just taking a little piece of your heart and you're saying, I hope this solves your problem. Please buy it, because I just created it out of thin air. At least, I guess, for the creative entrepreneur, because maybe if you purchased a franchise, it's not coming from your heart, but the money to invest probably did. But that's any hoodle. That's another story. But as far as clarity, I think a lot of entrepreneurs, because it's soul work, we think our work can serve everyone. I have never met an entrepreneur, a new entrepreneur, who didn't think that, especially in the speaking industry, who didn't think that their message could reach and touch everyone's lives, who didn't think that their hair care line was the best hair care line for whatever, that their dress would be perfect for everybody, that their blog is something that every single mom needs to read. Like, most entrepreneurs, when they first get started, they think that their products and services can serve everyone. And because they think it can serve everyone, they don't serve anyone. And they don't serve anyone because they are not clear on specifically who they are selling to. They are not clear on their target market. And because you're not clear on your target market, you don't have confidence about what you're saying when you're saying it, because you don't know who you're saying it to. And the best example that I've heard of this, when someone was explaining target market to me, is that, like, think, for example, if you were selling cookies to a classroom of kindergartners versus selling cookies to a group of people at Weight Watchers, right? These are two different target markets. Let's say a target market for kindergartners in, just kindergartners, right? You're going to go meet them before they go to recess, and you have to pitch triple chocolate chip cookies to these kindergartners. They are your target market, versus pitching triple chocolate chip cookies to a group of people at Weight Watchers. Which one of these audiences is most likely to buy, or most likely to want your services, right? Or I can't even say that, because we know which one is going to want it, but most likely to be able to use your cookie product, right? The kindergartners. But the issue with you choosing kindergartners as your target market, or choosing kindergartners as the person that you're selling to, is that kindergartners don't have any buying power, right? So in order to get a cookie to a kindergartner, you actually have to sell to their mother or father in order to get permission to give the cookie to the kindergartner. So even though you know that they would love your cookies because they are kindergartners, it's like you have to overcome the obstacle that they don't have money. So kindergartners, even though your chocolate chip cookies are amazing, it's not a good target market, right? Same thing with the group of people at Weight Watchers. It's like they're probably a good target market because they surely can buy your cookies. They probably also want to eat your cookies, but your cookies are counter to the main objective that they're going to rise, which is, I'm trying to lose weight, so I'm not trying to eat cookies, right? So it's like, I'm not saying that you couldn't sell to this person, but that's when, sometimes when people talk about how people sell and it feels very sleazy, that's what happens when the sleaziness comes from trying to sell triple chocolate chip cookies to a community of Weight Watchers. It's like you see what someone's trying to do, and you're going to offer them a product and service that interrupts what they're trying to do. You're going to try to override where they're trying to go by delivering and giving them something that they don't need. They may want it, but they don't need it. Does that make sense? That's where the super salesy weirdness comes in. But that's also why it's super important to know your target market, because with the Weight Watchers, the objection is that if they buy your cookies, you may be out of integrity, because you know that given that they're in Weight Watchers, they shouldn't be eating triple chocolate chip cookies, right? The objection with you trying to pick kindergartners is that they don't have money to be able to purchase your product. So it's like when I'm saying you don't have clarity about who you're selling to, that's what I mean. It's like sometimes people are like, oh, I sell to everybody. It's like, no, you got to pick who you're selling to, because even with the kindergartners and the Weight Watchers, right? If you were going to go sell cookies to kindergartners, all you pretty much got to say is, I have a container of cookies. Who wants cookies? All the kindergartners would say, me, 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 me. And then as their parents stood in the back, the way you would sell to their parents, at least, especially in this day and age, it'd be something like, these cookies are gluten-free, sugar-free. Like, you would tell the parents all the benefits and how these cookies wouldn't keep their kids up and these cookies aren't going to give them. You would have to sell their parents in order to give the cookies to the kids, right? But the way you would talk to the parents in order to get their permission to be able to give the cookies to the kids is totally different than what you would have to say to somebody who wanted a Weight Watchers cookie, or selling to somebody who was in Weight Watchers, right? Maybe if you were trying to sell these cookies to somebody in Weight Watchers, you would have to be like, oh, these are 0-calorie cookies. But do you see how when I'm trying to sell to the parents of kindergartners, I'm focused on the no sugar and the no gluten and all of those things. But when I'm trying to sell to somebody in Weight Watchers, I'm focused on the fact that they're 0 calories. Now, these are made up cookies because we know that that just can't happen in real life for some of these things. But the point of the matter is automatically my language changes because my target audience changes. And so your confidence as an entrepreneur when it comes to selling, because you're not an entrepreneur if you're not selling anything, right? That's not a business if you're not selling, okay? And we'll talk about that in a later episode. But the idea is most entrepreneurs, when they say they don't have confidence, it's because they don't have clarity in who they're selling to. And because they don't have clarity in who they're selling to, they have no idea what to say to them. And because they have no idea what to say to them, they don't sell anything. Thus, they don't have a successful business. I'll use the example of my speaking clients. Most of the time when my speaking clients come to me, they think that the people that they're selling to is all of the people that are going to be in the audience to listen to their message. And I have to tell them all the time, it's just like, no, that's not who you're selling to. You are selling to the man or woman who gathered all of those people together. You are selling to the meeting planner who sold the tickets to bring all those people into a room. You're not individually selling to an audience of 300 or 3,000. No, you're selling to one meeting planner who's organizing that whole event. But most speakers, when they first get started, they don't understand that. So they're trying to sell to their audience and they're never really speaking to the meeting planner, who's the person who has the buying power to book them to speak. And it's the same thing with like bloggers. Like, let's just say you're a mommy blogger and you're like, oh my God, I'm a mommy blogger. I need to sell this product and service to fellow mommies. It's like, moms are probably not buying things from your blog. That's probably not who you're selling to. You're probably selling to bigger brands like Pampers and Johnson & Johnson and stuff like that, and you're building out partnerships with them. So because they already have, because remember, as a blogger, you're selling influence and attention. And the reason why the person that you're really talking to is Johnson & Johnson or the Pampers brand is because that company wants the attention that you have of all the mommy bloggers who are reading your wonderful words, right? I'm hoping that that makes sense. And if it doesn't, just leave me a comment below. But the idea is, if you want to develop your confidence as an entrepreneur, you have to get clear about who you are selling to. You have to get clear about who you are selling to, AKA pick your target market. And then the third thing, the last but certainly not least thing, the reason why you don't have confidence as an entrepreneur is because you are not consistent in offering value. That is the reason why you don't have confidence as an entrepreneur. And I talked about this in the first video. One of your main responsibilities as an entrepreneur is to offer your target market value. And the way to look at value is just usefulness. You have to offer your target market something that they can use. That is what value is. And most entrepreneurs lack confidence because they do not consistently offer value. So what happens is because you're not consistent in offering value, you lack all the other things that would make you a confident entrepreneur. So for example, when you consistently offer value, your voice is very clear. And I'm speaking specifically for speakers, but also your writing voice as a blogger is very clear when you consistently offer value. Your brand is very clear when you consistently offer value. Your target market becomes very clear when you consistently offer value. Why? Because what happens is when you consistently offer value, your target market will be like, oh yeah, thank you. You talking to me. You are talking to me. And they may not say that way, but what they'll do is they'll comment on your blog, or they'll comment on your YouTube channel, or they'll comment on whatever social platform that you're using to offer this free value. They'll begin to comment and say, oh my gosh, it's like we're twins. It's like we're best friends. It's like, you know my heart. It's like but that only happens because of consistency. So consistency in offering value gives you all of that. It gives you competence about what it is that you're selling, what your product and service actually is, because you've been consistently trying to get value out to people. It gives you clarity on who it is that you're talking to, because not only will people start to say, hey, you're talking to me, they'll start to describe themselves. And sometimes they'll describe themselves as being very similar to you, but sometimes they'll just say, hey, I'm 54 and I've been this for and they will give you all of their demographics. And it's just like, oh, this is the person that I'm talking to. This is the person that I'm selling to. Consistency in offering value will help you to clarify what your marketing is, what your brand voice is, what your sales process is. And ultimately, consistency in offering value will help you to be able to figure out how to make a sale. And at the end of the day, developing your confidence as an entrepreneur is nearly synonymous with developing your confidence in selling. And people are not confident in selling because they are not clear on their competency about the product and service. They just don't have enough competence about what they're selling. They do not have enough clarity about who they're selling to, and they do not consistently offer value. And I promise, if you do all three of these things, and that's the other rub, is that you can't just do one. Like, you can't just have competence about the product and service. And a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck here because they know what they're selling, right? They're like, oh yeah, I sell earrings, right? They get it, but they don't go to the next step and get clear about who they're selling to. And further still, they don't go to the third step about consistently offering the person that they're selling to value. So by the time it comes around to making a sale, that person doesn't trust you, that person doesn't like you, and ultimately that means that person is not going to buy from you. Or perhaps the person is somebody who's like, oh, I'm super clear on who I'm talking to. This is my target market. I know exactly who I'm talking to. You may know exactly who you're talking to, but if you don't have competence about what you're selling, it doesn't matter that you know who you're talking to, right? You could be very clear on your target market, but you have no idea what you're selling. Therefore, you are not making sales. My advice to anybody out there, no matter the level of maturity that you have with entrepreneurship, if you find yourself in that feast to famine money cycle, if you find yourself feeling a little bit overwhelmed about the amount of risk that you've taken out, if you find yourself being frustrated with your customers, right? If you find yourself feeling that burnout feeling, that it is likely due to the fact that you lack confidence in entrepreneurship. And if you lack confidence in entrepreneurship, the three things that you need to focus on are competence in the product and service that you're selling, clarity in who it is that you're selling to, and then consistency in offering value. And I guarantee if you do those three things, your confidence in entrepreneurship will, I don't know, be out of this world. It'll like soar to the moon. Like, it'll just be so high, and it's just, it's an amazing feeling, really. And I want confidence for every entrepreneur because I really do dig entrepreneurship. I think it's an amazing way to be able to make a contribution to society. So I really, truly hope that this video has helped you. Please let me know in the comments below if there are any other topics that you would like me to address. And until next time, I will talk to you all very, very soon.